Hi, welcome or welcome back to Books and Bocadillos. My name is Mariandrea, and today I have a list of 5. I am hosting August with Suey at Suey's Book Banter, and this week we are both posting a video about our 5 favorites. I'm just going to say 5 favorites. I wouldn't say these are maybe my top 5. They might be, but that's a big commitment to make. So these are 5 of my favorite all-time YA books, and that I'd like to share with you as we're getting closer to August. So here are 5 favorites. The first one, this is one that Suey and I have in common. The Book Thief by Markus Zusak. So I came to The Book Thief first through the movie. I watched the movie, absolutely loved it. I think that's one of my favorite adaptations, and loved the movie so much I looked for the book. I realized that it was based on a novel, so I was able to get this signed copy at my local Barnes and Noble, and I treasure this. This is a book I will not lend out. I actually bought a matching copy for my niece in hopes that we could buddy read it, but at the time I think she may have been too young for this, so she didn't read it. I think she's reading it or she's read it on her own since, but we didn't get to buddy read it. If you've never watched the movie or you haven't read the book, this is a historical fiction young adult novel based in Germany during World War II. Our protagonist is saving books that are being banned, that are being burned, and she is coming to her own awareness and understanding of the political, religious, and social climate in World War II Germany. And I think Sui mentioned this in her video, so maybe it's not considered a spoiler, but she befriends a Jewish young man, and I think that changes her, and she also grows up and realizes um, that death is not something necessarily to fear, but she has an awareness, and actually death is the narrator of this novel, so you really feel like she's developing a relationship with life and death as constants in our existence. A little bit about the book. I'll read the flap. I love this first part here. It says, "When death has a story to tell you, listen." It is 1939, Nazi Germany. The country is holding its breath. Death has never been busier and will become busier still. By her brother's graveside, Liesel Meminger finds her life changed when she picks up a single object partially hidden in the snow. It is the gravedigger's handbook left there by accident, and it is her first act of book thievery. I'm gonna leave it there. This is a wonderful book. Highly, highly recommend. An all-time favorite. Not just YA, but just an all-time favorite novel. I can get on my soapbox about why I don't like that we have a category of books that is YA, because I feel like these books are for everybody, not just young readers. But you've heard my soapbox if you've watched our August announcement video. If you haven't, I'll link it in the cards. Next, I've talked about this one before. I love it so much. I always have a really fun time when I read this, and I'll just show you. Living Beyond Borders, Growing Up Mexican in America. This is an anthology of a mix of things: poetry, short stories, artwork. It is edited by Margarita Longoria. Margarita Longoria is a local to me author. I love this collection. My caveat is I love it so much because I resonate with this collection. These stories speak to me and they speak to my community. So I get it that if you are not Mexican or Mexican American, this might not resonate as much, but I still think that everything in here is beautifully written. Um, there, there's so much truth in here, and there's so much hope, and there's so much joy. So if you're interested, if you're not Mexican or Mexican American, but you're still interested in learning about um, the life experience of Mexicans and Mexican Americans in the United States, this is a really good collection. Highly recommend. Um, if you know someone that is Mexican or Mexican American, whether or not they are young or adult, um, again, I hate that this gets categorized as young adult and people miss it because I don't think that it is purely for teens. I think that this is a book that I really love, and for adults it would speak to the nostalgia of coming of age. So definitely recommend Living Beyond Borders. Um, I didn't read the inside part, but I'll go ahead and just read a little bit here. A powerful exploration of what it means to be Mexican American in this mixed media collection of short stories, personal essays, poetry, and comics. This celebrated group of authors shares the borders they have crossed, the struggles they have pushed through, and the two cultures they continue to navigate as Mexican Americans. Living Beyond Borders is at once an eye-opening, heart-wrenching, and hopeful love letter from the Mexican American community to today's young readers. Next, The Downstairs Girl by Stacey Lee. I love this cover. I read this book a few years ago for the Modern Mrs. Darcie book club, and I loved it so much. I have the physical book, I have the ebook, I have the audiobook. I just needed to have this book in all the formats, and that's how much I loved it. This was a 5-star book for me, and because it's a book that I have in every single format it's available, I thought I'd share it because there are very few books that I own all the formats for. So this is a very special book to me. This is also historical fiction. I think I mentioned in the August announcement. I think historical fiction is a bit like my thing, my cup of tea. Um, so this is historical fiction, and I'll just read it. Want to get it right. The back cover says, Atlanta, 1890. By day, 17-year-old Jo Kwan works as a lady's maid for the cruel daughter of one of the wealthiest men in Atlanta. But by night, Jo moonlights as the pseudonymous author of a newspaper advice column for the genteel Southern lady Dear Miss Sweetie. When her column becomes wildly popular, Jo uses the power of the pen to address some of society's ills, but she's not prepared for the backlash that follows when her column challenges fixed ideas about race and gender while her opponents clamor to uncover the secret identity of Miss Sweetie. A mysterious letter sets Jo off on a search for her own past and the parents who abandoned her as a baby, but when her efforts put her in the crosshairs of Atlanta's most notorious criminal, Jo must decide whether she, a girl used to living in the shadows, is ready to step into the light. Yeah, so our protagonist is a great writer, and one of my favorite words is haberdashery, and she works at a haberdashery. And the Miss Sweetie column in this novel feels like the Lady Whistledown storyline in Bridgerton. There's also social, political, historical commentary not often that's not often known and not often told. And I learned a lot about the historical context of the time through this novel. And I think that that's the marker of a really great historical fiction book, is when it shows you something you didn't know, a history you didn't know existed. And so I really appreciated this book for what it taught me um, about Asian Americans in the 1800s, 1890. Next, I recently talked about this in my summer playlist video, and it is Snake Falls to Earth, or A Snake Falls to Earth by Darcie Little Badger. I love this book. Darcie Little Badger is a local to me author. This book is set in a local region for me. And this is a fantasy novel. I first came across this book through the, I think, school library. There's a school library awards. Um, yeah, is it the ALA? There's a school library awards. I remember it was promoted by the Libby app. So maybe it was ALA. So it won an ALA award. Um, and it was promoted on the Libby app, and that's how I first heard about it. I listened to the audiobook. I absolutely loved it. I needed to get a physical copy, and I really love this cover. I'll read the inside flap. Nina is a Levine girl in our world. She's always felt there was something more out there. She still believes in the old stories. Ollie is a cottonmouth kid from the land of spirits and monsters. Like all cottonmouths, he's been cast from home. He's found a new one on the banks of the bottomless lake. Nina and Ollie have no idea the other exists, but a catastrophic event on Earth and a strange sickness that befalls Ollie's best friend will drive their worlds together in ways they haven't been in centuries, and some will kill to keep them apart. Darcie Little Badger introduced herself to the world with Alatsua. In A Snake Falls to Earth, she draws on traditional Lipan Apache storytelling structure to weave another unforgettable tale of monsters, magic, and family. There are shapeshifters. There are pretty high stakes for Ollie and Nina, and I really found it to be a thrilling fantasy novel about friendship and family. And yeah, the folk tales and storytelling are really magical in this novel. And the last one I don't own a copy of, so I'm going to put it somewhere on the screen. And it is Prime Meridian by Silvia Moreno Garcia. And in that novella, it's a YA novella. Silvia Moreno Garcia tells the story of Amelia. Amelia is a bit of a dark protagonist. She's really going through a rough time. I've reviewed this book, so I'll try to link my reviews. I've also even made a playlist, and I made that a tag video when I first started my channel. I really loved doing that playlist for Amelia and sharing that with everyone. But Amelia is a dark character. She really tugged at my heartstrings because she's really going through a really rough time. She is alone, even though she's not really. She feels very alone in the world. And she's trying to decide, should I stay or should I go? What is next for me? What's the point of all of this? how do I get out of here? And I feel like that's a common thread in Silvia Moreno's work. There's always a protagonist that is really questioning their place in the world. And I feel like Amelia definitely is. And this is a short novel, it's a novella. And there's a lot. The character development in this novella is superb. I think it's got just enough plot. It's mostly character driven, but it's got just enough plot to keep me happy. And I also really want to say that it's a bit experimental. So there are like different different ways of telling the story. There's kind of like Amelia's world, and then there's a like movie script that is playing alongside. And I really love that about Silvia Moreno Garcia. I think she's a fan of film, and she often incorporates a lot of film and does references of films and film stars in her novels. And I thought it was really cool how there was the story of Amelia and what's happening in her real time, and then there's kind of like a alternative script playing alongside as Amelia is trying to figure out what she's going to do next. And this is a like it's a bit of a blend. Silvia Moreno Garcia does a lot of blending of genres. So in my review, I mentioned that this is a cyberpunk novel. So the genre would be like cyberpunk mixed with fantasy, speculative fiction, and a bit of sci-fi. You'd have to read it. So find out for yourself. Pick up Meridian by Silvia Moreno Garcia. It's a novella. If you don't pick it up for August, you could pick it up for Shorty September. So just saying, it's a really good book. I hope you read it. Check out my review for additional information if you're interested about Prime Meridian by Silvia Moreno Garcia. And that's it for my 5 favorite YA books. So let me know if you'll be joining us for August. I am so excited and looking forward to reading all of the YA books I can possibly read in the month of August, and I hope you'll join us. Hasta la próxima.